Hello, everyone. My name is Nick, and I'm the host of the annual live stream for the cure to raise money for the Cancer Research Institute. They research immunotherapy, which signifies the hope of a future immune to all forms of cancer. CRI is extremely accredited and highly rated, meaning 88 cents out of every dollar donated goes to actual research. This year, starting on May 19th at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, we're fighting for the 6th year in a row to raise money for this amazing organization and this important work. Livestream for the Cure is all about the power of the indie creator community, showing that even small creators can make a big difference. We're proud to continue working to raise money and awareness for the potential to treat all forms of cancer with immunotherapy. Together we can make a difference. Learn more and make an early donation today at livestreamforthecure.com.
Are you ready to be scared to death? Join me, Scary Larry Dwyer, and the boys from Pint Comics as we take you on a terrifying journey through Scary Larry's Pint Horrors.
Everybody, listen. I have something important to announce. Pay attention, please. Okay. You can all relax. It's over. We're stopping now. Thanks, and congratulations to all. Great job.
All right, welcome back to Scary Larry's Pint of Horrors. It is Scary Lar-MAY, week 2. All May long, we'll be talking about the last 4 episodes of Scary Larry's Pint of Horrors, season 2 here on Pint of Comics. And of course, Larry's here. Larry, what's going on, man?
Hey, John. Sorry.
I like that.
Did you like that?
Yeah, I did.
Right.
She was with us last week for Deathgasm. Although we haven't recorded that yet, so that's a little
that's weird.
Little meta joke.
You're really confusing me right now.
I'm thrown off.
It's Laura. Laura, what's going on?
Hello. I'm not going to sing like Larry did, though. I can't.
Okay. Okay, that's fair. I bet you have a nice voice. I bet you it's.
No, I don't. It's awful.
No,
nope.
It's awful. Okay,
I'm
all right.
sparing everybody. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. All right. Well, then, thank you. So this episode's interesting. We recorded this episode once prior. We had our buddy Officer Mike Simonetta on as well. It got lost when my laptop died, so I couldn't recover it. But we said, "Hey, we got to do it." So this is the first ever Pint of Comics episode that we had to re-record. So that at least 240 episodes in. That I guess that's something, right?
That's not bad.
So
Definitely.
I will say this, and it's going to tip my cards a little bit. There have been 10 episodes. Well, there will be 10 episodes total when this season of Pint of Horrors is over. And this is by far the movie I wanted to watch 2 times to do a second episode on. So, but hey, you know what? We can't win them all. Larry, let's talk a little bit before we get into the movie about what Rubber is about.
Well, I mean, are we talking about on the surface or what it's about? What its meaning is? Like,
If people,
on the surface, it's a movie about a tire that comes to life and kills people.
So I had not seen this before last October when we watched it the first time, and in all the time that I had heard of this film, to me it was the killer tire movie, right? I think that's what it is for most people. And I will say this too, and we'll get into what this movie actually is as we talk about it. I had never seen anything, no trailer, anything for this movie. So all I had seen is the posters and knew it was the the tire killer movie. I always assumed this was like a grindhouse kind of like feeling movie, you know, where it's like this tire going through the countryside, just murdering people left and right. And I figured there was probably a
grainy film stock.
That's what I pictured Rubber to be like.
Yeah.
that
Not
is
at
not
all.
what Rubber's like at all.
No,
right?
this is a well-made film. Like, this is a well shot. It looks very good. It's for what it is. It's well acted. There's nothing grindhouse about this. It's a well-made film, whether you like it or not.
Right.
It's a well-made film. And like I said, on the surface, yeah, it's a movie about a tire that comes to life and kills people, and that's kind of what it shows itself as. But if you watch it and you think about it and you take in what they're doing and what everybody talks about, you realize that there's a deeper meaning here. Is it something that needed to be said? I don't know. Sometimes there are filmmakers who make films because things need to be said. There's things wrong with the world, and filmmakers take matters into their own hands and make a movie about it to wake up the rest of the world to what's really going on. There are movies that have greater importance. The underlying message here, don't know that it really has such great importance, but it must to the filmmaker.
It comes down to two words, right? It's no reason. I think that's
no reason.
Right.
No reason, right? That's kind of like what we'll get into it, but that's also kind of the byline of the movie. When I posted on Instagram a couple weeks ago that we will be doing this movie pretty soon, a friend of mine, Casey, had kind of put it in a way that I had never thought about before. He said, I don't really know if that's a horror movie. He goes, I think of that as like an art film. And it kind of is. Like, I'm watching it a second time last night. It seems, yeah, there's the horror aspect of it. This psychokinetic tire is traveling through the countryside and blowing things up with mind powers.
Right.
But it's also this commentary on movie watchers and the cinematic experience, and it's definitely, whether I like this movie or not, it's definitely deeper than I guess what you would think it would be. Laura, you were super excited to do this the last time. You enjoy this movie a lot. How did you come across this the first time?
I think the first time I became aware of it, like when Netflix was in its infancy of when you could stream it. This was one of the first movies I remember noting. I never watched it. It was in my queue forever. And then I just came across it a few years later, and so I guess Netflix brought it to me.
Okay. And I'm sure the hour 22 time on this thing makes it easier to go, I'm going to watch this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you could just throw it on. It's I didn't think I was going to invest anything into it.
Right. All right. So let's talk a little bit about this movie real quick before we get into the plot. Rubber was released at the Fantastic Film Fest originally in September of 2010. And then it was released on video on demand February 25th of 2011. Came out on DVD a few weeks later. Directed by a guy named so this is a French film produced by a French company, but shot in America. Actually, this lends the question, Larry. Is this part of that new French extremity that we talked about with high tension? Okay, it is not. All right.
No, you said you nailed it before. This is more of an art house film.
Yeah,
it's not really a horror film, other than the fact that it's pretty fucking gory. But it's an art film. It's got something to say. Again, whether what he's saying is important, I don't. That's up to you to decide. But yeah, it's not really a horror movie, and there's that.
All right, written and directed by a French gentleman named Quentin Dupieux. He made a couple movies. Mandibles, Deerskin. You might know him better as Mr. Oizo. He is
not me.
Yeah, I know Mr. Oizo. It's kind of his electronic music. He actually scored the film too. So picture the score of this film, and that's very much what I've heard of Mr. Oizo. It was filmed between October and December of 2009, basically in California, Hollywood, Palmdale, and Lancaster, California. So that's kind of some of the information there. Larry, let's just go through the cast and the budget and the box office real quick before we talk about the plot.
Sure. So cast, You start out. I think he's the first character you see. Is Lieutenant Chad the first character you see, or is the accountant
No,
character you
it's
see?
the assistant or
The accountant,
yeah,
they call him.
briefcase guy.
It's Jack Plotnick, who has been in nothing that I've ever seen. And then you're right, Lieutenant Chad actually is the one who gets out of the trunk once the car drives up.
Yeah.
Car drives up, runs over a bunch of chairs.
It
Trunk
tries
opens.
to drive around the chair.
Yeah, trunk opens. Lieutenant Chad gets out. The driver hands him a glass of water, and then he begins his dialogue. That he's played by Steven Spinella, who you might recognize from one of Johnny Ganash's favorite films, Ravenous.
Yeah.
Sheila, the young minx that our hero Tyre is attracted to, is played by Roxanne Mesquita, who I don't know, but I would like to know.
Well, let's not forget, not much of an ass, but a great rack, right? Isn't that what the lady says? Yeah.
That's what the lady said. Yeah. I disagreed. I thought her ass was fine, but
It was all good. It was all good.
Yeah. Man in the wheelchair who doesn't really have a name, played by Wings Hauser. Yeah, you know Wings Hauser. He was in a lot of Roseanne episodes, also in a lot of Beverly Hills 90210. But for me, he was Huck in the 1993 action gem Champagne and Bullets, which if you've never seen, please watch. It's a dandy of a movie. Who else do we got? One of the movie buffs, the heavier guy, played by Charlie Kuntz, who was in a film I love called Contracted, which was an indie zombie body horror film from a few years ago.
Is he the guy that calls Wings Hauser a cripple?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's him. Daniel Quinn, really the only other person of note, plays the father of the young boy who's the first to die of poisoning later in the film. He was actually Detective Sam Stasiak in the Scanner Cop series. So it's hysterical that they put him in this when his job was to blow people's heads up and scanner.
Oh, okay.
And then there's a ton of people in this movie, but none who anybody's heard of. But we'd be remiss not to mention that the role of Robert the Tire was played by Goodyear, according to the credits.
Is that what it said?
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do they ever at any point say that the tire's name is Robert in the movie?
I don't know.
Not in the movie. Definitely not in the movie.
Yeah, I
It's
don't
only
think.
afterwards. Yeah.
I know it's definitely. Yeah, I know it's definitely like in all of the descriptions of the film, Robert the Tire and everything.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. I was curious because I watched it again last night and I'm like, I'm waiting for someone to say, I'm like, how the fuck are they going to know his name?
Right, because he doesn't talk. The kid, there's a point where a kid tries to get him to talk, but he's got nothing to say.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you mentioned budget. This was made on a budget of $500,000, which I would imagine went mostly to cast and special effects.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't see any other real big spends there. Opening weekend grossed 16,000, so did not make back its budget opening weekend. Overall, worldwide gross was $101,000. I don't think it had much of a theater run, so I can't really blame it for not making much money in the theaters. It made $101,000 overall in its complete theatrical run. You'd mentioned that it filmed at Fantastic Fest. It was nominated for at least a couple awards at Fantastic. It cleaned up at Sitges in Spain, won like the top 3 awards there. Also won some awards at Toronto After Dark, and was at Cannes, but didn't win any awards at Cannes Film Festival.
Okay. That interests me so much that it wins all these awards. It's a movie. In the end, I wonder, is it trying to be more clever? This movie puzzles me. I'm very puzzled by this movie. It's a good choice in the end because it definitely lends itself to some conversation. So Laura, the officer Chad, gets out of the trunk of the vehicle. This movie doesn't fuck around with its intentions right from the beginning, right?
It comes right at you with like what it's going to be. Like you know immediately. Like, there's something definitely left center about this movie. Everybody's just acting a little bit weird. They're doing things that nobody does in everyday life. It's like off the bat.
Right.
So Chad gets out of the trunk. and he kind of walks over and it has a monologue. Can you kind of give us, Laura, the essential idea of what this monologue is supporting, what the idea is?
It's pretty much pointing out that in movies and cinema and film, like filmmakers put things into their movies for no reason. Things happen for no reason. Like really, like just kind of saying everything's just kind of esoteric and colliding into each other for no point. Like I'm trying to think of the quotes off the top of my head.
There was one he was dead wrong about, but we can.
Well,
Oliver Stone.
He did mention, JFK.
JFK's head blows up for no reason.
For no reason.
Yeah.
He mentions E.T. is brown for no reason.
Yeah.
He mentions in the what does he say? The Wonderful Chainsaw Massacre by Tobe Hooper.
The excellent Chainsaw Massacre.
He says that we never see the characters wash their hands or get dressed. Is that what it is?
He says pee or get dressed.
Yeah.
Pee or wash their hands is what it is. Which he's completely wrong because Franklin was peeing when the truck went by and he rolled down the hill.
That's
Franklin was
right.
peeing into a can.
Man.
So I remember the first time I saw the movie. I saw the movie not long after it hit video on demand because I'd heard about it through Horror News Network. And as soon as he said that, I was like, Franklin was pissing. That's why they had to pull over and get him out of the van, and then he rolled down.
Maybe that was on purpose?
Maybe. I don't know.
I mean, like, who knows? You could look into this, but
right.
I don't think so, but I wouldn't cast the idea aside so much.
Right. But yeah, like Laura said, his whole monologue is just to kind of set you up and let you know that, this film takes into consideration the fact that they believe things happen in cinema for no reason. So they're going to show you a whole bunch of other stuff that happens for no reason.
Yeah. Why can't we see the air around us? He says.
Yeah, I like that.
Just so many.
Think about that a lot.
I never thought about that till he said it, and then I thought if air was visible, we'd be so fucked.
Yeah,
we would be so fucked.
Block everything. Like
if it was like navy blue, we would just be fucked. It would be a pointless existence.
No,
it's crazy.
So maybe there is a reason. That's the reason you can't see air because otherwise you wouldn't be able to walk anywhere. Anywho, let's not get too crazy.
So essentially, they're laying out the fact that in a few minutes from this monologue, we're going to see a tire in a dump spin itself out of its its dump pile and then start to traverse the desert, come across different obstacles and learn that it can get over them. A plastic bottle, it runs into several things that are alive, scorpions, rabbits, a glass bottle that it can't get over, and that it's going to start using telekinetic powers to destroy these things. So that's this film. So right off the bat, they're saying, stop asking why, right? They're saying it's no fucking reason. This is just go with this movie. Now the other half,
let me ask you that. Is that a cop out though?
This whole movie is kind of a cop out, I think.
Well, no, but do you have to explain to me that things happen for no reason in order for you to make a movie like this? I think that's the I'm being clever part. I think that goes to the deeper meaning behind this movie, that audiences are stupid. That's what I think that's what he's getting at the whole time. So then by having to explain that to me, he's prefacing by, you're so fucking stupid, I have to tell you that movies happen for no reason, and now I'm going to go through the rest of the reason to show you how audiences are stupid.
Right.
Or you could look at it as he's explaining this so your confusion isn't a distraction from the movie.
Maybe.
Because
goddamn French people.
Yeah, right. I know.
they're so witty and full of cigarette smoke.
No, because when you watch a movie and the characters do something that you can't understand why they would do that, like they make a stupid decision, they say something stupid, like you're concentrating on that and you kind of focus on it and it pops out of you. But when he takes away the question of like, we're just doing what the fuck we want to do for no reason, you just you can sink into the movie quicker. And I think you have to sink into this movie very quickly or else you're not going to want to watch it.
So, and I don't know if I mentioned this, when Lieutenant Chad does this monologue, he's doing it to us. Like he's looking at the camera, looking at like what we think is us as the audience. But then we find out, Laura, that there's a whole nother group of people there.
Mm-hmm.
And who are these people?
They're the spectators. They're the audience for the, and I say this with air quotes, the movie that's going on. Which,
the movie within the movie?
The movie that we're watching, but we're watching them watch a movie that's actually happening in real life, I guess.
Yeah.
So there's just a random group of people with binoculars. They're given the binoculars.
Right. They're given binoculars by the accountant guy, who is dressed in like a button-up shirt. Yeah. He looks very much like an accountant. He's got a bicycle, and he just tells them the rules. Just go look at this, and then in the interaction between the audience members, we get what I think is obviously commentary on real audience members. Like people are getting mad when other people are talking. It's just, so this movie, I think Larry is right, is trying to make a lot of commentary on maybe the movie going experience, as a total, as a whole. But everybody is just very involved in watching this tire resurrect itself and then start to roll through town. So the tire's rolling through town, and then like I said, the tire learns it has these psychokinetic abilities. It kills a scorpion. It kills a bunny rabbit. You did mention that probably a good amount of the budget went towards effects for a movie that features several exploding heads, several exploding animals. This actually has pretty good practical effects, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. They're very well done.
Yeah.
And not to mention the one practical effect amongst all of them being that this tire actually rolls around, and I'm not sure. I think we may have discussed it on the first recording of this episode, and I did not look into it this time. But was it some kind of like animatronic in terms of like? I don't know.
There's a self-propelled. It kind of pushes itself forward within. It's rolling inside the tire, and I think they don't have much control over the direction. Because, when we see it, he's usually just rolling straight. And if he is turning, that's like a trick of the camera. They didn't have control where he was rolling, but they could make him roll on his own with this thing inside of him.
I think they did a really good job. All right, this is going to sound stupid saying a tire has emotions and reactions, but
he does.
But he does. Like somebody says something and the tire slowly turns around, or it quickly turns around, and you get what's supposed to be the emotion. You immediately can see in your head what a person would be doing, and the tire's doing that. It's very well done. It's very. Yeah, this movie's weird, but I think it's really smart. We'll get to why I think it's very smart, but bless you.
Thank you.
So it's really well done. You're right. The effects are pretty damn good for a movie that didn't really do anything in the theaters, or I don't know if this was made with the intent. I can't honestly think that a filmmaker would put this movie together with designs for it to be like a blockbuster film.
Oh no! This was never. This was meant to be, a small art house movie that I think would generate some kind of conversation. Whether you like the movie or not. And I'm on the side that I'm not a huge fan of this movie, but I do find the merit I find in this movie is the differences that it goes to make. That it tries to make in this story. Because honestly, my thought, like I said about Rubber, was it was probably a grindhouse movie. That might have been a more enjoyable experience for me throughout, but I don't know if it'd be memorable in any way, shape, or form. This movie, years from now, I'm going to remember this fucking movie because of all this no reason shit and the audience within the movie. It's
right. So if this was just a dumb exploitation movie with no underlying commentary to it, then you could just sit back and fucking just enjoy people's heads exploding. And I get that, but so that again to me is what makes this movie so successful, is this guy took what should be a stupid exploitation movie and put all of this commentary into it. And again, it's something that people talk about and discuss. A lot of people, no, probably not. I don't, but people have talked about it and discussed. And here we are 12 years later talking about it and discussing, the meaning behind it. So I think there's something to be said for that.
Yeah. So in the movie within a movie now, we're introduced to the raven-haired vixen who's driving across the California desert in her little red vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, kind of human moment from Robert where he sees her from the side of the road and does he want to kill her? Does he want her? He wants something to do with her because he disables her car as it's driving down the road. A trucker doesn't see. One of my favorite parts about this is that how many times Robert is floating down the road and people just don't pay attention to it. Like it's normal.
Like, if I saw a tire just rolling down the street, I would just be like, oh, like, okay, that's weird. Like, where did that tire come from? Like, it's not just laying on the side; it's going somewhere.
Yeah, this is traveling. It's not. If you ever, I don't think I've ever seen a tire rolling down the road. But if I did, he's rolling on purpose. I would think if I saw a tire rolling down the road, it would be wobbling because it had just flown off a car or something. No, this is propelling its fucking self somewhere.
Especially now, now that you've seen this movie. Now it would be a whole different experience if you saw a tire rolling.
Oh, no.
You might just turn around.
Yeah,
you might just turn around.
This, yeah.
Yeah, if I ever
Robert, and we don't know if that's Robert or not, so let's go back home.
If I ever see a tricycle and an army of tires, I'm getting the fuck out of town immediately. That's for fucking sure. So he fucks with her car. She gets away. A truck driver basically almost runs him over, kind of. And as Robert follows the truck driver to the gas station, he blows up his head real good. Mm-hmm. And this kind of all like ends up at a little motel in the middle of the desert. So Laura, you're out on a road trip. Mm-hmm. All right, you're by yourself. You're at some seedy fucking motel. Mm-hmm. And like anybody, when you get to the motel, the first thing you do in the motel is you shower. That's like the thing with the motel because you're tired from traveling. You shut the front door, right, Laura? I mean, you shut the front door to your motel?
Yes. I shut the front door to my house, to anywhere I go inside. I don't, if I'm inside, I usually don't want somebody else coming in. So it's the first thing that I do. Yeah.
It's a solid move.
Because this girl does not. This girl leaves her front door open and then lines up perfectly to the bathroom, and she gets undressed, and this is how the audience members watching with their binoculars are able to see and comment on her ass and her rack. Robert goes and kind of starts peeping and creeping, and she doesn't realize there's a tire at the door, but she just kind of shuts the door. Next thing he does is what any stalker would do. He gets in the room next door to her. He watches a little bit of NASCAR, which I guess if you're a tire, that's your thing.
That might be tire porn.
That could be tire porn. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wasn't
he actually sitting on the bed too? He was just
sitting on the bed. Yeah. Because when the maid comes in later for turn down service, there's tire tracks in the bed, which I thought was fucking hilarious.
So he was moving back and forth on the bed while he was watching his NASCAR. So it was definitely tire porn.
He was excited.
Back to what you were saying, John. I don't think he wanted to kill her. I think he's in love. There's a song that starts playing. You're talking about, there's a song that plays something about being lonely. He wants companionship, and he seeks it from her. That's why he obviously had the power to blow up her head if he wanted to. He stopped the car because he wanted to see her, and then he blows up the fucking head of the guy who almost hit her fucking car. The guy she flipped off later on. Blows up her, and then he's watching her in the hotel. He could easily blow up her head while he's watching her in the hotel. Robert's in love, man. He's in love. What's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with that.
So we know immediately Robert has a type.
Yeah,
European black-haired chicks. That's his thing.
Same as
Good
me.
For him.
And hey, my late brother's name was Robert, so.
But your brother was not a fucking tire.
He was not a tire. You're right. You're absolutely correct.
So Laura, give us a few more of the folks we meet at the hotel, at the motel.
Interesting cast.
So yeah, it's definitely a fun collection of people. Well, no, fun is the wrong word.
Yeah.
Interest? No. Okay, well, we meet the maid. She is the one. She wants to clean the room that Robert has taken residence in. We have the motel proprietor, I guess, and I think his son.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
we
I
don't know
think
the
they
relationship, but he's a, what is he, like 12, 13-year-old boy?
About that.
Yeah.
He's definitely not treated well, whoever he is.
Yeah,
No,
no.
he's spoken to very disrespectfully. He's just trying to tell them that he saw something weird, and his father is just like, go get me a fucking pizza.
Not just a pizza, but Larry, what is specific about the pizza that he wants on it? Do you remember?
Extra toppings.
Double
right?
toppings. Yeah, double toppings.
And he gets it too. But.
He certainly gets some roadkill on top of his pizza, which I thought to myself, so the kid has to go get him a pizza. The guy's a dick to him. So the kid on the way back from getting the pizza stops at a skunk or something, or fucking raccoon roadkill, and he picks up a couple of good bloody chunks and throws it on top of the pizza and says, "Here's your double toppings." How bad is pizza there that you can't identify roadkill pieces on top of the pizza? That's what I want to know.
Well, I mean, listen, they're not
in the California desert. Yeah.
Yeah, they're not in Connecticut, so pizza's probably not that good.
I think I would have appreciated it more if he farted on it or did something that would have been less visible than a giant fucking skunk bladder or whatever he threw on there.
Peed on it or something.
Yeah.
We see him eating it later.
He does, yeah.
He walks into frame eating something, and so.
Yeah.
All right. So the maid you're talking about, Larry, where does the maid find Robert?
In the bed, right? No, in the shower?
In the shower.
That's right. He was in the shower.
Yeah.
So she finds him in the shower, and she seems a little concerned, but not that she's like, nah. She stops for a second, and then she's like, I got to get, my job. I got to clean this place up, and tire's just not clean. So she fucking launches him out of there, right? She takes him out the front door and
throws him right in the dirt. Throws him right in the dirt.
Which, makes sense. You get the tire out of the room. You got to clean the room. But Robert did not appreciate such treatment.
No, he doesn't like blondes either, apparently, because he he blasts her head right the fuck off his shoulders. Yeah. As you would if you're a tire pissed off about your treatment at a shitty motel.
Yes.
I would be mad if I was yanked out of the shower also.
Right.
Okay.
So I understand his aggravation.
Yeah, and you know what? Let's talk about this for a second. So there's a scene, I don't know, maybe it's like 15 minutes later than where we are right now, where Robert's looking in the mirror. Clearly, he's looking in a mirror. And I got the feeling that he's not happy with what he sees. Is Robert the soul of a human?
So I wonder that because of the watching TV in the bed comfort things, taking a shower,
falling in love with a human female.
But are they saying so? But then there's the other part later in the movie where when the police go on the rampage against tires, that he really gets pissed off. So does that mean in this movie universe, which is very possible, are we saying that humans are reincarnated as tires and that he is like taking his vengeance out because of that? Because if he was a human,
see, I never thought. You're talking about when he gets angry when he sees the truck fire,
the tire fire.
See, I just took it because at this point now he realized he's a tire. So I didn't take it that they all have souls too, but I guess given the ending, it makes sense that. Yeah, okay. All right. You just opened up a whole new door for me.
A whole new can of worms for fucking rubber here.
Wow. Yeah, wow.
I saw it as like from the beginning we see him learning things about himself. And I think he got to a point after having all these experiences of blowing different things up, falling in love, interacting with people, interacting with the landscape, and he's kind of reflecting on all of these things he learned today.
Well, you clearly, when he first gets up, it's clearly like watching a baby walk for the first time. It's clearly meant to be some sort of, mammal type walking for the first time.
Yeah, every time he comes across something new, he he takes his time with it, like the plastic bottle. He touches it, backs up. When he finds a puddle, he dips into it first and then rolls
Just
through
little
it.
toes in.
Yeah, he dips his little. Laura has a crush on this tire. Let's just be honest.
Love him very
I have a
much.
crush on the movie, but not the tire.
Makes me giddy.
Yeah.
All right, Laura, why don't you explain this next part? Okay, so I'll set up. The accountant is in his room, and he gets a call from the master. All right, I don't know who the fuck the master is. We don't know who the master is,
No.
but it's obviously the
Masters
guy
of
in
the
charge.
Universe?
Yeah,
Possibly Masters of the Universe.
maybe it's
Probably,
Skeletor.
yeah.
It could be Skeletor. Somebody from Eternia.
Oh, that would be a good twist. I would have liked that at the end.
Yeah.
He also has a turkey in the room with him, a live turkey,
Alive.
Yes, a live turkey.
and a briefcase full of cutting instruments, blades, all that stuff. So the master basically tells him he has to do something. He says, "I'll do it tomorrow. It will happen."
Mhm.
Now, all the people that have been watching the movie inside the movie with the binoculars have complaining of hunger because nobody's fed them. They never say that they're told they can't leave, but it seems like if you are hungry, just leave, but they're not leaving. So there's also that added, are they under duress of some sort that we don't know of? Okay, don't know. The next day, the accountant shows up with a burlap sack and says, "Wake up, everybody." And they all wake up. If you're hungry, he rolls a cooked, really not well cooked turkey. Like this thing is red, and rolls it out of the burlap sack and says, "Eat it up." And all these fucking people like animals, and the music is really like fucking wow, wow, wow.
Yeah.
And they're attacking this fucking turkey.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out that for whatever reason, this experiment is kind of timed, and 6 hours after they eat the turkey, they all die. Now, on the other side, Laura, what is the scene we see when the sheriff realizes they're all dead? This really weird meta scene amongst him and all his people. What the fuck's happening here?
He's in the middle of talking to either the motel owner or
Yes.
right, yeah, and his watch beeps, and he's like 6 hours already, and then he's just like, "You can go home, Mr. Hughes. We're done here." And the guy's like, "Oh, wait, what?" And he just gets up and walks away from the guy. He goes and joins the other cops, and he's like, "It's okay, everybody, we're done." And they're like, "What are you talking about? We have a dead body here," because the dead body of the maid whose head was exploded after she had tossed Robert out of the shower. And then he tries to, and of course they don't believe him. They're just like, "No, this is happening. This is real. Like, we have a dead body." So he has one of the officers shoot him, and he has... And he's just like, "No, you got it. It's an order. You have to shoot me." So he does. And he has like one of the words escaping me. The
Squib.
Yeah, the squib. And they're just like, but even after they shoot him, they're all, obviously they're still confused, but like he makes them shoot him again, like just to prove it. And he points out to one of the guys, he's like, "This can't be real. You're holding a stuffed alligator under your arm."
Yeah, and the guy's like, "So what?"
Yeah.
Yeah, but he does look at it confused for a second, like,
But
huh.
later on, he's stroking the head of it.
Yeah.
I love that. That's another good thing about this movie. There's just like small little things in a lot of the scenes or frames that like just like very momentarily call back to something they just said offhandedly before, and just like him petting the I don't even think it was alligator. I think it was a iguana or something.
It was a dinosaur or something with a mohawk.
Yeah,
it was certainly weird.
Yeah.
So he says to them, "Check the body," and they're like, "It's a standard fucking headless body." And now he's confused because
he's like, "Shake it," and they're like,
"Yeah." Like I think he's expecting it to be a fucking a thing full of whipped cream or something.
And she's like, "It's cold," and he's like, "Well, how cold?"
Yeah. So the accountant kind of approaches him and whispers to him, and we hear it. He says, "Gentleman in the wheelchair didn't eat the food. He's still alive and he's still watching."
Right.
And now the sheriff is like, "Oh shit." So is this
The movie can't end as long as somebody in the audience is watching.
Yeah. Is this like a statement that like, as long as there's do movies only exist if someone's watching it? Is it the old,
"Ooh, if a tree falls in the forest?"
Yeah.
Basically.
Like if someone plays a movie in a movie theater, but no one shows up for it, did that movie ever actually happen? So that's what they're saying is, there's someone still watching, right? So we have to continue this film, which they didn't plan on, because they show it throughout the course of the movie. Wings Hauser, the gentleman in the wheelchair, he never gets involved with the rest of them. He doesn't eat when they eat. So the accountant has to go back and try to ply him into eating another poisoned meal. This scene, I don't know what the fuck happens in this whole part. Larry,
yeah,
he doesn't get Wings Hauser to eat the meal.
So the accountant rolls up a huge hotel cart. You know, like when you're watching like Home Alone 2 and they bring in all the fucking food for Macaulay Culkin, like, you know, very fancy, you know, plates covered with the silver dome. Like the accountant rolls up one of these whole fucking things and he's like, hey, got all this food for you, you know, some lovely tuna tartare on asparagus and, you know, all sorts of crazy shit.
Eclairs.
And the guy's like, yeah, guys, well, he didn't get to the eclairs yet. First he's talking about the regular food and the guy's like, yeah, it's great, thanks. You go, that's fine, leave it. And he's like, well, which one do you want? He's like, I'm not fucking hungry. I don't, you know, the dude's totally doesn't want anything to do with the accountant. He's just watching the movie. He just wants to watch the movie. He's focused on his fucking binoculars, focused on the movie. So then the accountant's like, hey, well, you don't want that. We got dessert. There's some dessert too. Pulls out the plate of eclairs. He's like, hey, we got eclairs. He's like, fuck, listen, dude, not hungry. All set. Thank you. So then the accountant just starts rambling about how he killed his brother as a child, like crushed his brother's head with a rock.
Because he got stuck in a crack.
His brother got stuck in a crack, and he's like, I don't know why, so I just took a big rock and I smashed his head.
And then he stopped screaming.
Yeah, and then he stopped screaming. And then you realize that as the accountant was talking, he's also eating the fucking eclairs. Now, we, as the audience of the audience, know that these eclairs are fucking poisoned. The accountant, as somebody who works for the master who controls the audience, also knows that these are, but he's still eating the fucking poisoned eclairs. So
he doesn't just eat the eclairs. He eats food before it, eats off the plate, puts the food back, and then as he continues to tell the story, then grabs the fucking. He ate an entire poisoned meal.
Yeah,
and it's not like he was just like absent-mindedly doing it. He was just like, "You got to try these. These are delicious." So like he's recognizing that he's eating them, but just absolutely forgetting that he poisoned them.
Now I don't pretend to be smart enough to understand what the director was going for with this scene. Obviously there's something.
The show must go on. Maybe
we already knew that when Wings Hauser was still alive, so they couldn't end the movie. I don't see the point behind the accountant who knows the food's poisoned eating the poisoned food. I don't get that part. And maybe it's just my stupidity, and I'm sorry,
maybe it's
everybody.
Like well, his whole character is always like doing what he's told, like he's following orders. It's kind of like he represents a mindless faction. He's not thinking. He doesn't think for himself, really. He just does what he's told. He's eating this poisoned food that he knows is very, very poisoned. Like his mind, like he just doesn't really have a mind. He's an empty vessel, and he's just kind of a task monkey.
I'll roll with it.
So as we kind of move along here, Robert sees the tire fire, goes on a couple day killing spree. And then,
they show, dude, that's a pretty jarring scene.
Oh yeah, it's
not the tire fire, but because I'm not a tire, so I don't get offended. I get offended for the ozone when I see a tire fire, but I don't get offended for the tire.
Yeah,
like I'm talking about the scene after where they're just showing the insides of all like the supermarkets and shit, and it's just tons of headless people everywhere. Robert saw that fucking tire fire and went on a kill crazy rampage.
Yeah. He went fucking berserk.
It became a revenge film.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, at that point, yeah. So now the sheriff has to try to finish this off.
Yep.
So he decides that he's going to use the French girl who showers. Wait, okay, sorry.
We missed something important right before that.
Oh, okay.
Again, this movie is very subjective, right? I don't know if it was important, but I think it was. The sheriff and one of his deputies were playing chess on the hood of the car.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And the sheriff they clearly show you that the sheriff like takes his bishop and goes to the left to take a pawn. And the guy's like, hey, you can't do that. And the sheriff's like, are you sure? He's like, well, it's against the rules, but you can do it if you want. And the sheriff's like, well, can I or can't I? And then the scene ends, and I'm like, I get it. I think I get it, because this whole movie is against the rules. So he's saying there are rules to making a movie, but you can break them if you really want to.
Yeah, you can still make a movie without following the rules.
Yeah.
Right.
Like
Again, I don't know. There's a lot to be read into it. That's kind of what I got out of it.
Did you ever see Funny Games?
Yeah, God, yeah.
Yeah. So the whole scene where he rewinds it, it's very kind of like that, where it's like, you're not going to tell me how this goes. I'll tell you how this goes.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. Okay.
Right.
So
then they go to the to the mannequin.
They got a mannequin that's looks like the girl, and it
looks like the girl in that it has brown hair. Other than that,
yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, it's
a fucking store mannequin.
Well, that's what I mean. I mean, it's dressed and with the wig supposed to look like resemble her, because they determine that Robert's got a little rubber on for her, and they've affixed this mannequin with some dynamite or C4. And they're hoping that
and a speaker,
Yes.
and they're hoping that if he uses the telekinetic powers against it, he'll be close enough, it'll blow up and it'll kill him. He is the sheriff and the girl are in a van together, and she's just saying things over and over again to try to lure him. What are some of the things she's saying, Laura?
I wrote some down. Hold on. My favorite one: blow my head off, you big slut.
Okay.
Is that the one where she's like, I can't say this?
Yeah, that's what and then he
takes over. When he took over, and the other cop's like, I don't think he's buying it anymore. I'm like, oh my God, what's happening? Like, how is this? Because she's talking, pretending to be the mannequin. It's her voice. She's talking. Yeah, the shit she's saying is stupid. Come blow my head up, you stupid son of a bitch. It's stupid, but at least it's her voice. But then this cop's like, you know what, forget it. I'll take over. And he starts saying it. But he's like supposed to be her, but he's not even trying to change his voice to a female sounding voice. He's just speaking his normal voice.
Yeah, it's fairly ridiculous.
When she's saying it to begin with, like, she kind of looks at, I forget exactly what she says, but she's like, you want me to read this crap or like whatever? Yeah. And you can tell he's offended.
Because he definitely wrote it.
Wrote that.
Oh, yeah.
And he thinks he got some good stuff there.
Yeah. Yeah, she's like, who wrote this crap? And he's like, just read it. Just read it. And he got real mad when she like-libbed a line. Like, he's like, read it as it's written.
Stick to the script.
Stick to the script.
Yeah, stick to the script.
So Larry, does this plan work out?
Well, so again, I think my favorite part is when the other officer tells him, he's like, he's not buying it anymore. He's not buying the voice. I'm like, oh my, I can't believe this guy has to tell him that they need the female voice back in order for the tire to believe that the mannequin is female. There's so much to unwrap. If anybody's listening to this and has not seen this movie, they probably think we're fucking insane.
Yeah,
we're just making this up as we go.
Or just making it up. Yeah, like they're gonna be like, this is like an exercise, and these guys are just making this fake movie up as they go.
This is our
along.
Weird improv exercise.
Yeah. You just walked in. You walked into improv at Pint Comics. By the way, I will throw this out there. This movie is streaming on HBO Max and I think Tubi right now. So if you do listen to this and you think we're fucking lying, jump on one of those platforms and it's free.
Or I can let you borrow my copy. Whatever you need. So the girl thankfully gets back on, because otherwise Robert would never buy this. And she starts talking, and then she finally gets Robert pissed off enough that he starts fucking really working himself up, and bam, blows the mannequin's head off. Which I don't understand. I'm no physician. I don't know science. But I can't possibly see how that would have triggered the dynamite at all. So no, that didn't work. Her head just exploded. The deputy was like, "Oh, sheriff, it didn't work." So he just fucking jumps out the back like fucking B.A. Baracus with his fucking shotgun, and he starts running for the house because Robert at this time has already gone back in.
Let's also mention real quick that we forgot that the Wings Hauser character is watching it right from there.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
he's not
he's
not a
right,
mile
because
away.
he
He's there.
rolled up when this is a great part. So he rolls up when they're in the van, and he's basically like, what are you doing? What are you guys doing? Like, there's not enough action. He's being a perfect audience, not perfect, but he's being that person who is saying, listen, you're trying to be too clever. I just want action. Just
Right.
bring the fucking action.
Yeah, like,
He's
keep
being
it moving. Yeah.
Yeah, he just wants explosions and Michael Bay type films. You know, he's like, he wants big fucking bang, and you guys are spending way too much time on dialogue and like, thought, and like, again, it's a huge part of fandom, right? There's like people who are fans of movies that are only, and he's obviously that type of fan. Like, he's an action film guy. He doesn't want to sit here and watch dialogue and, whether it's stupid or not, he just wants the action to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, now he's rolled all the way up and has basically inserted himself into the movie at this point, right? So he's like, no, don't fucking run in with the shotgun. You promised me an explosion, man. I'm waiting for an explosion here. So now he's yelling at the sheriff. He doesn't want him to shoot him because he wants a big explosion. Sheriff's like, bullshit. He goes in there. He fucking shoots his gun. He walks out with like, you know how like when you're on the highway, like you drove by like where an 18-wheeler had a blowout and there's like just like a long strip of rubber.
Completely, it's shredded. That was
that's basically what he brings out. Yeah,
but that wouldn't have happened if he shot it with a gun. Okay, yeah,
no, totally not. Just like it wouldn't happen that a mannequin's head exploding would ignite dynamite nearby.
Exactly. Yeah.
But so yeah, he walks out with the big strip of rubber and throws it basically in the lap of Wings Hauser, and he's like, "Fucking movie's over."
Yeah.
But apparently it's not, because John outrolls a tricycle.
Mm-hmm.
This is maybe one of the greatest lines in any movie I've ever seen before. Is the sheriff and his deputies are driving off or leaving, and Wings Hauser is just like, you can't go. He's been reincarnated as a tricycle.
Yeah. And he's just like, come back. Like,
yeah, guys, come back.
This little tricycle, little red, typical you, me, Laura, we all owned one at one point.
Mm-hmm.
Tricycle comes rolling out, and and then the tricycle takes its attention onto Wings Hauser's character, and he's like, no, you can't get mad at me. I'm the audience. And at this point, as you said, he's inserted himself into the movie. Plus, maybe this is the point of the movie where Robert is getting tired of us as an audience.
Yep.
So he blows his head off. He actually I think his whole body blows up, right? He nukes him.
Wheelchair splits in half. Like,
oh yeah. That's the worst explosion.
Yeah.
And I think that whole point. Well, my interpretation of it is like the audiences now insert themselves into movies. Like, think of everything pretty much like the internet has done it. Kind of what we're doing at this right moment. We're just dissecting it. We judge things. We say they should have done this. They shouldn't have done that. And like, we're putting ourselves into these movies where I don't want to say don't belong, but it's not.
You don't belong.
Yeah. And I think,
especially in an art film, right? Yeah, this is exactly what the writer/director is saying. Stay the fuck out of my movie.
Yeah. Like, this is my movie. We don't need your input, your commentary. I'm going to do what I want to do. I want to make the movie I want to make. Like, I'm doing this for me. I'm not necessarily doing it for you.
Right.
So
yeah. It basically ends with Robert now in his final form, possibly of a tricycle. Maybe not, because
he's three tires now.
He has three tires now.
Next level boss.
Well, and that was my thought as I watched this last night, and maybe it wasn't my thought as I watched it the first time. Was what's next? Like a bicycle, a car. Like, is he just going to become bigger and bigger? And as he's rolling down like these streets, we see more and more of these. There's a lot of fucking dead tires in this like area, by the way. They're all over the place. But as he's rolling through the streets, they start to do what he did earlier and right themselves and start rolling with him. And the movie ends essentially with him. It's
very
rolling.
much like Rocky, like running down the streets of Philadelphia with everybody running after him.
It was inspirational. Like, when you see all of them just going together, like they found their people and they're going to Hollywood.
They end up in Hollywood, which I wonder if again that's another kind of statement from the director of like
they're on their way to kill all the stupid people who watch and make stupid movies.
yeah.
That's what I got out of it anyway. Again, so you didn't get the director on this episode? I'd like to talk to him. I got questions for Quentin Depardieu. I have questions for Quentin Depardieu.
Cute.
Yeah, I have questions for Gerard Depardieu. Can you get him on this fucking show,
I actually do have a lot of questions for Gerard Depardieu.
I think a lot of people have questions for Gerard. I think the police have questions for Gerard Depardieu.
Yes.
Well, luckily for you, Laura, I didn't announce it yet, but this summer Lloyd and I will be doing a new miniseries called On the QD, where we'll be talking about all the films of Quentin Depardieu. Yeah.
And I'm obviously going to pull the dumbest one.
If Deerskin is his worst movie, you're going to pull that one. And
I've heard that's great. I still haven't seen it.
If Mandibles is his best, Laura will get that one. I almost said teeth. That's rubber. All these one-word movies. That's rubber for you. This is the point in Scary Larry Land where we rate this. But I have a new feature I am implementing from our video episodes, Larry, that I decided we're going to do on Scary Larry's Pint of Horrors going forward, and it's favorite kill time, kids. Let's talk about, as we do on the videos for Nightmare on Elm Street, and we did through Friday the 13th. What was your favorite kill in this movie, Laura? What would you think was your favorite of any kill? And you can include any of the animal kills, anything else you want.
Oh,
you could even include the kill of Robert.
Oh,
yes.
True. I'm gonna go with the dude in the truck, the first
guy.
Kill. Yeah, because that was if you didn't know. I mean, the first time I watched this, I didn't really think that's where it was going. I didn't know that that's how he killed people. I would think like he would run them over or something. I don't know, but I don't know. It's a funny shot, and you see his head explode, and like it's not the best effect, but it's not a worse effect, and it was just unexpected and funny. And also, like, it was the first, like, I really like the sound he makes when...
Oh, it starts, like, as a rumbling and ends as, like, a rattlesnake almost?
It sounds like cicadas.
Yeah.
Locusts, like, how everybody says
it does sound like cicadas,
every time I hear, like, that's exactly what I think it sounds like, and...
It wouldn't surprise me if that's actually the sound they use.
Yeah. It's weirdly foreboding, so...
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, it reminds me of Summer, which I fucking hate. So that makes perfect sense.
Same.
I'll go next. I think, mine's a little bit off, but he's still technically killed because he killed himself. The accountant, like he eats all that food, and then his death scene is like, it's kind of like very strange too, because Wings Hauser's just watching the movie on the binoculars, and he is just, oh, my stomach hurts. And then it just goes from my stomach hurts to, oh no. And then just like he I'm dying, and he dies. So I don't know, even though it wasn't the magnificence of the exploding head, it's such an odd kill. And it is a kill because he kills himself.
For me, I got to go with Wings Hauser.
It was good.
As my favorite. And it's not only the way, I mean, yeah, it was a great explosion. His whole wheelchair fucking blew in half. It was fucking genius. But I probably have more arguments about movies with people who are like that than anything. People who are like, oh, I don't fucking care about dialogue. I just want to see explosions and fucking action. And I'm like, no, I'd rather fucking sit there and watch Clerks over and over again with two guys having a fucking great conversation for an hour and a half. Like that, I get off on dialogue. That's why Quentin Tarantino and John Hughes and Kevin Smith are among my favorite fucking filmmakers, because I love dialogue and they're great at it. And people like Wing's character in this are those people who hate dialogue and just want to see bridges blow up and a fucking, whatchamacallit, city bus jump a missing fucking section of highway at speed. Like, and that's not...
I would like to see that, though. I can't fault them for that.
I guess. But so that's why that's my favorite kill, because of, not just because of the kill itself, but because of who it was, what it symbolized.
Larry, we're going to rate this thing. Let's rate this thing. What scale do you want to give this on?
The tires.
Tires. All right. Fair.
Yeah. I mean, sorry, but it's easy, but what else could you do?
All right. We'll go backwards the other way around to Larry being last. I'll go first. 0 to 5 here on Pint of Horrors, as we always talk about. quarter and half scale optional. I'm going to go 2. This is a 2 for me. And the 2 is entirely based on, I give this movie a lot of credit for the differences it puts out there. In the end, I just don't feel wholly, I feel like it's almost a chore to watch this movie for me. I've seen it twice. I feel like I'm good, but I can really appreciate what they're trying to do here. But there's also that portion of me that says I sometimes get irritated when people are trying to be smarter than other people. And I wonder, is this movie trying to be smarter than other people?
Oh yeah.
Is this movie, an indictment against audiences and the cinema going experience? I'm actually fine with that. But some of it, I feel like, I don't know. I just don't know if I like the whole meta movie within a movie and everything as much as you guys do. But I do give it 2 based solely on it goes for something and it does not like steer away from it. And as we talked about earlier, as limited as they are, the effects in this are pretty good. Like the tire rolling is never even like, you don't even question it. It's happening and it looks great. Like Laura said, she said some kind of self-propelling device. That's cool. If we found out it was some low-level CG, cool, because it looks fucking good. So whatever they did, it looks great. So that's what I'm going to give this one a 2. Laura, let's go to you right before we go to Larry. What do you give this movie?
Okay, so I love this movie very much. I feel like I've said that many, many times. So I give this 4 tires. I think that's even higher than my last rating last time we recorded this. And I'm upping it a little bit because I've seen this movie a bunch of times and I could talk about it without like having to really refresh my memory of it too much. But this morning I threw it on, might as well like get reminded of things. And then I was just like, it just sucked me in again. And I was like, no matter, I've watched this movie a bunch of times and I just wanted to sit down and watch it again. So it's absurd, it's funny, it's well made. I mean, like, yeah, it's trying to be smart and kind of like hoity-toity or whatever with that stuff, but I don't know, I like it. I think it's enjoyable. It's absurd with a plot line that kind of works in some weird way. I'm rooting for Robert. I want him to succeed.
Laura has a crush on Robert the Tire.
I think that too.
All right, before we get to Larry, let me read off a couple of the patrons from Pint Comics. Go to patreon.com/thepint, $2.50 a month, and we'll try to get you a bunch of cool stuff. Our buddy Stu will give Rubber, like he writes, I will give Rubber like a 2 out of 5. It is fun enough when it is just the tire killing people, but the whole movie within a movie thing feels like it's trying to be way too clever. It gets obnoxious. Patrick Flanagan, our buddy, who we'll be seeing tomorrow night at Larry's show. Let's see. He gives Rubber 4 for concept, 2 3/4 for execution. Chris Ramirez, another guy we always see at the shows. Rubber had some good ideas, and the ending was good, but there's some very dull parts, 2 3/4. And Officer Mike Simonetta, who was on the actual last Rubber episode. And I don't remember him being this high on it, but I could be wrong. He gives Rubber a 3.5. The addition of the movie in the movie elevated it from being subpar. So those are some of the answers from our patrons out there. Thank you so much for patronizing. And now we'll get down to the man with the plan. Larry Dwyer, what do you give it?
Officer Mike Simonetta is 100% correct. Yeah, listen, if it was an exploitation film where a fucking tire was just rolling around killing people, would I love it? Probably. But this is so much more than that. And I never got tired of it. I never bore of the movie within the movie because they're always adding on to it. Like I said, that chess part, that comes almost at the end. They're still adding on to it. And then the fact that Wings Hauser inserts himself and gets killed for it, they're still adding on to it. They're showing you all, I mean, they started it with the audience, right? Showing you all the different ways audiences can be fucking annoying in the movie going experience. And then they take it further than that and talk about basically how directors can be stupid in making movies and, you know, stay the fuck out of my movie. I'll make the movie that I want to make. And I really, yes, he's being too clever, but I'm okay with it because in a lot of ways, I agree with what he's saying, even though he's French. I don't often agree with French people. I'm kidding. But I get what he's saying, and I appreciate what he's saying. And I really respect the fact that you can take something as silly as a tire killing people and make an 80-minute movie out of it that keeps me captivated every fucking time I watch it. And I've like Laura, I've seen it over 10 times, probably.
Jesus Christ. Sorry.
Probably close to 15, I would say. But making a movie critiquing people who watch movies is pretty brilliant to me. And I'm a big fan of Rubber, and I think I like it better every time I watch it. So I'll echo Lauren and give 4 tires to Rubber.
4, 4, and 2. All right. So that was Rubber. That was episode 2, or that was week 2 of Scary Lar-MAY. Next week, we just talked about him a second ago. Our buddy Stu from SWO Productions will be joining us to talk about another movie that, is it a horror movie? Is it not a horror movie? Larry, is it Korean?
What's he doing?
One
Chinese.
Cut of the Dead.
Yeah, Chinese.
Okay, let me start that over. So next week, we're going to have our buddy Stu from SWO Productions on, week 3 of Scary Lar-MAY, and he will be with us to talk about the Chinese film, which, is it a horror movie? Is it not a horror movie?
Hey, you're going to have to do it again because it's Japanese.
Almighty, Japanese.
You're going to have to do it again because it's Japanese. My bad.
All right. Hold on, watch how I'm going to do this. All right, so next week on Pint of Horrors, 3rd week of Scary Lar-MAY, our buddy Stu from SWO Productions will be coming on to discuss another film that we have to say, is it a horror movie? Is it not a horror movie? The Asian sensation, One Cut of the Dead. Okay, so come back for that next week. And until then, I'll say the words we normally say. See ya.
Bring me on, baby!